My phone rang just after midnight. I was about to go to bed when I saw it was my cousin Amara. That alone made me pause. She never calls this late. I picked up and her voice was shaking. The first thing she said was, "Leave your car where it is. Don't go outside. Just trust me." I asked why. She didn't explain. Just repeated it, please. For once, just trust me. 10 minutes later, the parking lot outside my building was filled with tow trucks, police cars, and flashing lights. They weren't just there for someone else. They were there for something parked right next to my car. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to know. My name is Maya. I'm 27, living in a small apartment complex just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. I work remotely as a marketing assistant for a travel company. Nothing exciting, really just long hours on a laptop, emails, and client calls. That night was a Friday. I had gone out for dinner with a few coworkers. We laughed, shared a few drinks, and by the time I got home, it was nearly 11:45 p.m. I parked in my usual spot, right under the street light near the corner of the lot. My car is a silver Honda Civic, nothing fancy, but it's mine. I grabbed my purse and phone and walked upstairs to my apartment, tired and ready to crash. As I changed into my pajamas, I remembered I'd left my work laptop and badge on the back seat. I almost went back down to get them. Before I did, I called my mom like I always do on weekends. She asked how dinner went, reminded me about my aunt's birthday next week, and told me to sleep early. Typical mom things. I smiled, promised her I'd rest, and hung up. But just as I was grabbing my keys to head downstairs and get my laptop, my phone buzzed again. Amara. Now let me explain something. Amara isn't just my cousin. She's more like my sister. We grew up together. She's 2 years older than me and the one person I trust with anything. She's the calm one, the smartone, always has a plan. She works nights as a nurse at a hospital downtown. So yeah, we talk, but never this late and never with that kind of fear in her voice. That's what made me stop. That's what made me listen. She didn't sound like herself. Her voice was low, almost like she was whispering. And the words she said hit me, like ice in my chest. "Are you at home? Are you inside?" I said, "Yeah. I just got in." Then she said it again, this time louder. "Don't go back to your car. Lock your door. Stay inside. Just trust me." Before I could ask more, she ended the call. I stared at my phone, confused, scared, but also trying to convince myself maybe she just heard something weird at work. Maybe she was just being overprotective, but I trusted her. So I dropped my keys, walked over to my window, and looked outside. The lot was quiet. Too quiet. And then far in this distance, I saw the flashing red and blue lights getting closer. I stood at my bedroom window, frozen. At first, I couldn't see much, just the soft orange glow of the parking lot lights, stretching, shadows between the cars. My building was quiet, lights off in most apartments. A few flickers from TVs behind closed curtains. Nothing seemed out of place, but my heart was racing. Amara's voice still echoed in my ears. I knew her tone. That wasn't panic. That was control under pressure. The kind of voice you use when things are dangerous and you're trying not to show it. And that's what scared me more than anything. She wasn't just scared. She was protecting me from something. I moved slowly from the window to my front door and slid the bolt into place. Then I stood there, still holding my phone, staring at the deadbolt like it might somehow protect me from whatever was coming. A minute passed, then another. I checked the clock on the stove. 12:07 a.m. And then I saw the first set of headlights sweep across my living room wall. I rushed back to the window. This time, there was no mistaking it. A police cruiser turned into the parking lot, followed by 2 more. Then a black SUV, the kind that doesn't have a logo or markings, just all black with tinted windows and quiet tires. Behind them came 2 tow trucks. It all happened so fast. but it felt like time had slowed down. The lot lit up like a football field. Officers in dark uniforms stepped out, talking into radios. One of them had a flashlight and started shining it into parked cars. They were heading toward my car. I dropped to the floor, barely breathing. My apartment was on the second floor, and I didn't want Toby seen in the window. I crawled closer, keeping my head low, peeking just above the sill. I saw one officer point directly at my Honda. Another walked over and looked inside with a flashlight. Then they moved to the car next to mine. A dark sedan I hadn't really noticed before. It wasn't there earlier that week. Now it looked important to them, and that's when I saw it. A man sitting in the driver's seat of that sedan, hands on the steering wheel, completely still. One of the officers tapped the window. The man didn't roll it down. He just slowly opened the door and stepped out. He looked normal. Jeans, a hoodie, sneakers, could have been anyone. But his hands were shaking and his eyes kept flicking over to my car. Then everything exploded into motion. Officers swarmed him, yelling for him to put his hands where they could see them. He turned Torun, but didn't make it 3 steps. They tackled him to the ground right between the 2 cars, right next to mine. He screamed something. I couldn't make out the words, but he was pointing at my car. I backed away from the window, heart pounding so loud I could barely think. Was he trying to blame me? Was I caught up in something without even knowing it? My phone buzzed. It was Amara again. I answered with a shaky voice. "Amara, what is going on?" I whispered. She was breathing hard. I could hear background noise, hospital beeps, footsteps, a muffled overhead voice. "I heard something," she said quickly. 2 officers brought in a patient tonight. He was injured during surveillance. They were talking in the hallway. Didn't realize I was nearby. They were watching someone at a complex near your street. I heard the make and model of your car. They said a silver Honda Civic might be involved, or at least matching the one parked next to the suspect. I didn't understand. Why would they think my car is involved? I just got home from dinner. "I don't know," she said. But when I heard your car mentioned, I panicked. I thought, what if they make a mistake? What if they see someone walk to the wrong car at the wrong time? That's when it hit me. If I'd gone downstairs like I planned, even just to grab my laptop, I might have been walking out right as that man was being arrested. I might have been standing there, keys in hand, looking like I was part of it. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. The only reason I was still safely upstairs was because of that one call. I couldn't stop shaking. I sat on the floor, knees pulled tight to my chest, phone still pressed to my ear even after Amara had ended the call. My apartment felt small all of a sudden, walls closing in, my thoughts running in circles. The quiet buzz of the fridge and the distant hum of sirens only made it worse. I kept playing it over in my head. If I had gone to my car just 5 minutes earlier, I might have walked straight into that mess. A man was now in handcuffs. Officers were examining cars, and someone had pointed in my direction. Whether it was my exact care or just a mistake in model and color, I could have been in that spot. I didn't know whether to be angry or scared, but mostly I was frozen with one thought. What if they still think I'm involved? Then came another knock at the door. Sharp, deliberate, and loud. My breath caught in my throat. I stood up, legs weak under me, and tiptoed to the peephole. A unformed officer stood there, calm but alert. His partner stood off to the side, looking down at Adablet. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to pretend I wasn't home, but something inside me said I needed to face this. If I acted guilty, maybe they'd believe I was. I cracked the door open just enough to see him clearly. He gave me a short nod. "Ma'am, sorry to bother you. We're checking in with residents. Did you happen to notice anything strange in the parking lot o'night?" I hesitated. "No, I go home a little before midnight. I've been inside since." "Is something wrong?" "There was an incident involving a vehicle out front." He said, "We're looking into possible connections. You drive the silver Honda, right?" I swallowed hard. Yes, but I haven't touched it since I got home. I left my work stuff in there, but I haven't gone back down. He nodded again, eyes calm, but observant. We may need to temporarily impound it. It matches the description of a vehicleist. In a case we're working, you're not in trouble, but it's standard to inspect anything close to the suspect's property. I nodded, heart thudding in my chest. Okay, I understand they didn't ask to come in. They didn't accuse me of anything, just noted my statement and moved on. But it felt like my life was sitting in that parking lot being taken away with a tow truck. My laptop, my ID, my company badge, all things tied directly to me, sitting out there now wrapped in a situation I didn't understand. I called Amara again the moment the officers left. She picked up instantly. They're towing my car, I said, voice shaking. I figured they might, she replied. Don't panic. This is bigger than just your car. That guy they arrested, he's been under surveillance for months. They think he was using multiple cars to hide illegal items, probably switched plates, parked near other cars to blend in. So I'm just collateral. I said, no, Amara said firmly. You're lucky you weren't part of this, but being close to it, that's enough. To get tangled. They're just being careful. The fact that you didn't walk outside saved you from being part of that scene. You know what? At the car, at the wrong moment. I know, I said quietly. They would have assumed something. I felt helpless, violated almost. My car, my space suddenly part of something criminal. I sat down at my kitchen table, staring at the screen of my phone. Everything in my body told me to do something to fix this, but I couldn't. I had to wait, trust the process, and trust Amara. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by the window, watching as the tow truck pulled my car away, following the dark sedan that had belonged to the man in custody. It felt like they were dragging part of my life behind them. But I also realized something else. All of it could have gone a very different way. If I had gone outside when it planned to. If Amara hadn't called. If I hadn't listened. I didn't just avoid an inconvenience. I had barely missed something that could have damaged my life, my record, maybe even my career. One small moment changed the direction of everything that followed. I didn't take action in a dramatic way. I didn't chase someone or fight back. My turning point was quieter. It was trust. It was choosing to believe my cousin without knowing why. It was not going downstairs. And that decision, a small, invisible choice, saved me. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My body was exhausted. But my mind wouldn't stop racing. I kept replaying everything from the night before. The knock at the door, the flashing lights, the man in handcuffs, the officers staring into my car, the way my heart had dropped when Amara told me they were watching someone who drove a car like mine, and worst of all, the way that man had looked, straight toward my car before he was taken down. As I poured myself coffee with shaky hands, my phone lit up. A call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello. Hi. Is this Maya Hart? The voice asked. It was official, clipped, and calm. Yes, speaking. This is Officer Russell with Charlotte Police. Your vehicle was taken in for a precautionary inspection last night. I wanted to follow up with a few questions and update you on what we found so far. My heart skipped. Okay, I want to start by saying you are not under investigation. Your car is clean, nothing illegal was found inside. And your personal items, your laptop, ID, work badge, are all accounted for and untouched. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was holding. Thank you, I said softly. I was really scared. I understand, he continued. To give you some context, the man we apprehended had been using a cloned license plate system. Your make and model. Silver 2016. Honda Civic was selected because it's common and easy to duplicate. He parked beside your car and used a near-identical plate to blend in. Surveillance teams tracked him to your complex last night. But why did he point at my car? He was panicking, likely trying to redirect attention or confuse us. When we ran plates, your car's was flagged because of the duplication. But once we ran the VIN and verified ownership, we realized it wasn't his vehicle. I leaned against the wall, hand on my chest. It made sense now. He had tried to disappear into the crowd, blend in, and without realizing it, I had become part of his plan. "We're returning your vehicle today," Officer Russell added. "It'll be delivered to your apartment lot by noon. You may be asked to give a brief statement for documentation, but again, you're not under any suspicion." "Okay, thank you." Really, after we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table staring at my hands. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was just still. My car had been part of a federal surveillance operation. A man had used its presence as cover. I'd almost been caught in the middle of something I didn't understand. If I had been one step closer to that situation, if I had touched the wrong door handle, said the wrong thing, walked into the frame of a surveillance camera, I might have spent the night in an interrogation room, trying to prove I had nothing to hide. Just before noon, I watched from my window as the tow truck backed into the lot. My car looked the same, except for a white tag taped to the windshield, cleared and released. The driver parked it back in the same spot, nodded toward my building, and left. I didn't rush out right away. I waited until I could breathe steadily, then walked downstairs. I approached the car slowly, heart pounding, like I was expecting to find something new. But it was just my car, the same crumbs from last week's drive-through. The jacket I always leave in the back seat, the little air freshener hanging from the mirror, and my laptop bag right where I'd left it. When I opened the back door to grab it, I paused. There, tucked between the seats, was a folded piece of paper. My heart jumped, but when I unfolded it, it was just an officer's property checklist. My name, my VIN, a note, all clear, no tampering. Still, I couldn't help but feel different. Changed. Later that day, Amara came by. She brought takeout and hugged me tighter than she ever had before. We sat on my couch, food in our laps, the TV playing some show we weren't even watching. "You saved me," I said quietly. She shook her head. "No, you saved yourself. You listened. I almost didn't, but you did. That's what matters." And she was right. One small decision to pause, to listen to a single late-night call had protected me from something I didn't even see coming. I hadn't needed to be brave or clever or strong. I just had to trust someone who cared enough to warn me, even when it didn't make sense. Sometimes danger doesn't look like a masked man or a loud threat. Sometimes it looks like an ordinary parking lot, a normal car, and a knock on the door that comes with a polite smile. That's what hit me the hardest. You don't always see it coming, but if you're lucky, someone sees it for you. It's been weeks since that night, but I still check over my shoulder when I walk to my car. I still double-check that my license plate is intact, that nothing looks out of place. And every time I see a black SUV or flashing lights, my heart beats just a little faster. Before that night, my world was simple, safe, predictable. I didn't think twice about walking to my car after dark or leaving my laptop in the back seat. I didn't believe things like that. Federal investigations, surveillance, suspects, mistaken identity could come anywhere near my life. That stuff happened in movies or on the news. Not in my apartment complex, not in my parking lot, not to me. But it did. What scared me most wasn't what happened. It was how easily it could have turned into something worse. I keep going back to the same moment, holding my keys, about to head back outside, and my phone ringing with Amara's name on the screen. That single phone call didn't just change my night. It changed the way I see everything now. What if I had missed the call? What if I had gone to the car, opened the door, leaned inside for my laptop, and police rolled in at that exact moment? What if they mistook me for someone involved? I don't think I would have known how to explain myself fast enough. The truth is, we live so close to chaos without even realizing it. The line between being an innocent bystander and being pulled into something much bigger is thinner than wet ink. That man didn't know me. He wasn't targeting me, but he used the space next to mine to hide. And that was enough to nearly pull me into his mess. And yet I also realized something else. Something just as powerful. Trust saved me. I trusted a voice that shook over the phone. I trusted someone I've known my whole life. Amara didn't give me all the details. She didn't have to. I heard something in her voice I'd never heard before, and I didn't question it. I listened. That's not always easy. We're taught to think for ourselves, to demand explanations, to not blindly follow anyone's advice. But sometimes real protection comes in moments when there isn't time for questions, just gut instinct, just trust, just go back inside and lock the door. Since then, Amara and I have grown even closer. I told her how that night changed me, how I see people differently now, how I look at normal places with a new kind of awareness. She told me she still thinks about that overheard hallway conversation about how a passing comment between two cops triggered something in her, a detail that felt too specific to Nyor. I almost didn't call, she admitted. I thought maybe I was overreacting, but something just told me I had to. I'm so grateful she did. That single act of speaking up, of following her instinct, kept me safe. And it reminded me that our lives are not just shaped by what we do, but also by who we keep close and who we listen to when it matters most. That's the lesson I carry now. Sometimes the people who save us don't wear uniforms or capes. Sometimes they're just a voice in the dark telling you to wait, to trust, to listen. I share this story not to scare you, but to show how real and fragile safety can be. We take so much for granted, our routines, our habits, our everyday movements. But it only takes one unusual night, one strange detail, one act of trust to flip your entire perspective. So if someone you love ever calls you late at night, sounding afraid or urgent, please listen. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if they can't explain why, you might never know what you avoided. You might never know how close danger came. But you'll know one thing for sure. You were lucky and you were loved. That's what I think about every time I see Amara's name pop up on my phone. Now, that call changed my life. Not because something bad happened, but because something worse didn't. If this story made you pause, think, or feel something, please hit that subscribe button and share in the comments.